Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So we are going to be doing something new here. It's a tier maker, and this will be the first of a few videos we will have where we pretty much what we do is that I rank game shows from around the world, mainly from here in the US, Canada even too, the British, or in Great Britain and in Australia. That will mainly be what the tier makers will be about, because I've seen the most game shows in all those countries. So now I have 7 different grades for this. I have A, which means, it gets an A, it's a really great show. Then the next level will be B, which is an okay show, just a couple of minor flaws. C is kind of an average, it's a great show, maybe, I don't know. Like, it's not, I don't know. Well, we'll see when we get to that. D. Now, D and F are kind of like the same, the worst game shows of all time. And then I have never seen a full episode. Now, what that means is that I've seen clips of the show, but I have not seen a full episode in its entirety. And the pink one, never seen before, means either it means that I've never seen it before, and that could also include shows that I have never heard of before, too. So don't be offended if those game shows pop up in that, in those 2 columns. No matter what happens, if I've never seen a full episode or I've never seen it before, I don't even care where it lands, whether it's a great show or whether I know the format or not, it will automatically go there, no matter what. Okay, so first one. Now, by the way, we have a lot to get to here, so yeah, okay. We'll start off first with the $1 million chance of a lifetime. Honestly, I absolutely love this show. To me, it's kind of like Wheel of Fortune, but without a wheel, kind of, right? Because, it has puzzles and stuff like that, and it was hosted by Jim Lang. I don't know why, but it was canceled after only 2 years. I thought it was a great show, but, I mean, so I'm going to put that on A. Hold on, I need to go grab my mouse, because I don't have it. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds. Just like that, I'm here. Okay. So, next one. The $100,000 pyramid. You could... Now, I would count the whole pyramid series in general, but you see there's the 50,000, and I thought I saw the 25,000 one here too, somewhere too. I don't know where, but anyway, whatever. So, $100,000 pyramid. Honestly, not just the 100,000, but all incarnations of the pyramid, well, except for the Donny Osmond version. They've been pretty good series, so I'm going to put that on A, I think. Well, hold on. Let me think about this for a second. Oh, and by the way, speaking of the $100,000 pyramid, it was just recently renewed for season 6 on ABC, and production will be moving from New York to Los Angeles, so yeah, that should be very interesting. I do kind of wish, though, that they had brought back in the new version the 7-Eleven and make it worth $11,000 instead of $1,100. Well, the $1 Million Pyramid, which was going to air for CBS, what, 10, 12 years ago? They had the 7-Eleven worth $11,000. I only know that because, I've looked it up and did some research. So, yeah. You're going to see me put a lot of game shows in the A category. Or most of them. Now, the 1 versus 100. And very interesting and creative game show premise. It's 1 person versus 100 people. If the one gets it incorrect, then the mob members split the money. I like this show. Honestly, it's one of my favorites, I gotta say. So we'll put that up there. Alright, the $25,000 pyramid, automatically there. And well, whoops, sorry. Hold on, we're going to do that again. There. Okay, next is Bargain Hunters. Now, I've seen clips of this show, but I've never seen a full episode of it. Blockbusters, I really like the version with Bill Cullen, and I know a lot of people don't like the 1987 version of Blockbusters as much as the old original version, but the 1987 version was a great version of the show. I mean, the format stayed the same, well, except for the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker, nobody had an advantage. But I actually kind of liked that part of the game. And each game was worth 100 instead of, 500 or 250, depending on when it was. And the jackpot would go up $5,000 every time it was not won. However, that wasn't included until the later weeks of that version. But other than that, I thought it was a really great show, to be completely honest with you. I think that the 1987 version definitely needs more love to it, because that is a really good version of Blockbusters, in my opinion. So, I'm going to put that right there. Break the Bank. Okay, so it has the 1976 picture on it. I'm going to include the whole series in general, including the 80s version and the 50s version of it. The 50s version, I have not seen a full episode. Well, actually I have, but there are not very many around because of, wiping tapes and stuff like that, which I don't really understand why they did it with these companies, networks making all this money. I don't know. They could afford the tape. I don't understand why they... Anyway, whatever. Well, mainly because back in the 50s, when they had the quiz show scandals, they were giving away too much money. That's why. But Break the Bank, I like the 70s version of it. In fact, I read that it was like the second highest rated game show in daytime TV, or it was either second or third after Match Game. But yeah, I really liked the show. Even the mid-80s version of it, I really liked. So sad that Gene Rayburn didn't get to host the full 80s version of it, like the whole series in whole. But it's okay. I'm going to put that in the A category. There we go. Okay, next is Bullseye. Now, I know a lot of people really don't like this show because people think it is kind of like a ripoff of shows like The Joker's Wild, which I will give them credit for. That is true. But there are such differences in The Joker's Wild and Bullseye. Like, one, the way the game is played, like the front game of it, you have to get to $1,000, and, you can do that literally in one turn, pretty much, because, they have a bank, and if you can get it, and, after you complete the contract, you can, bank the money, or, or keep it growing, or whatever. So, that's one big difference of it. The second big difference is the way the bonus round is played. If they got 3 bullseyes, then they doubled their money, or if they survived for 10 spins, then without hitting the lightning, then they would win $5,000. So there are a few differences to this than The Joker's Wild. So, yeah. But honestly, people don't really like this show, and I don't understand why. I thought it was a good show. I mean, I like it. I mean, yeah, there were a few moments with it. Like, instead of keeping the pot growing, I think they should just be able to bank it. They have to bank it. They don't have a choice. That's the only flaw I think it has, so that's why I'm putting it on B. But other than that, I think it's a great show. Caesar's Challenge. I have seen a full episode of this. In fact, I've seen many full episodes of this. And to be honest with you, it's not that bad of a show. But, with the way television was in the 90s, game shows, unless you were Family Feud, Wheel of Fortune, The Price is Right, or Jeopardy, then you were able to stay on TV. If you weren't any of those shows, then you were trash, pretty much. But a lot of shows from that time were really underrated, though, but they just got canceled due to, network stupidity and how television was changing and all that, So I'm going to put that on A. But even though I do feel like, though, however, sometimes a player was at a disadvantage because, you know, that if they won the pot and plus added up with all the correct answers, because, you know, if they were able to guess, there was that one letter that was highlighted for it, and if they guessed it, they won the money that was in the pot, you know, and along with the correct answers and how big the pot could possibly get, you know, the other players were almost at a disadvantage a little bit. But, I mean, again, that depends on when it happened in the game. Camouflage. Now, this one is an interesting show. You know, it's a GSN original show, and it's a pretty solid show. I mean, you know, the guy gives you a clue, and, well, I'm going off of the last time I've seen. You know what? I have actually never seen a full episode of this now that I think about it, so it's automatically going to go right into that category. I have seen clips of it, and from what I can see and what I've read online about the format, it's somewhat of a tricky show, but, you know, I believe he reads you clues or whatever, and you have to, like, try to find the word in it or something like that. So, I mean, it is somewhat difficult, like, if you don't know general knowledge or anything like that, but I personally think from what I have seen and what I have read that it is a decent show. But the only problem I have with it was the low payouts of it, $500 or $5,000, which at the time was GSN's minimum or something like that. So I feel like they could have given away maybe $10,000 or even $15,000 like GSN's doing with some of their game shows nowadays. Yeah, so yeah, since I've never seen a full episode of this show, it has to go in that category, unfortunately. Card Sharks. Now, Card Sharks, the 2001 version was trash. Okay, we're not even going to speak of it. And I do like the new version with Joel McHale. I mean, there's big money involved in it, you know. And I like that they bet with poker chips or things that are little discs that are meant to resemble poker chips. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I like about the show. And the only problem with this one that I have is the new version. In Season 2, its time slot was 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night, or Sunday night, excuse me. And from what I've seen, it did trash in the ratings. Well, mainly because of football. You know, football. Sunday Night Football is the #1 primetime show in America, and that's not changing anytime soon. I don't think. But, yeah, so everything's pretty much dominating in ratings. Well, everything is trash in the ratings because of football. I don't even know what I'm saying, but yeah, other than that, I like Card Sharks. In fact, I think everyone loves Card Sharks. Chain Reaction. Now, I'm also going to account for the 80s version, or the first version of it in the 80s, and then the reboot in the late 80s. Now, I have seen a full episode from all 5 incarnations of it, because, you know, we had the one in 1980 with Bill Cullen, we had the later version with Jeff Edwards, and then GSN brought it back with Dylan Lane, and then Mike, I forget his last name, did it in 2016. And now the new version with Dylan Lane. Now, it's a pretty cool show, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I like, well, the first format, or the format of it in the 1980s, you know, where you got 1 point per letter in whatever that word was. So, if you got an 8-letter word, then it was worth 8 points towards your bank. First one to get 50 points, you know, wins the game, or whatever, right? And then, yeah, and then, now, I don't exactly quite know how the 86 version of it worked. You know, I have seen a full episode of it, but not in a while, though, so I don't quite remember. Well, I guess I kind of know. Like, each word was worth 10 points or whatever, and something was worth 20 or whatever, so yeah. I don't quite remember how that worked, but, It is a good show, so I'm going to put that there. Child's Play. Now, this one's an interesting show. Now, see, I have seen a full episode of this, but I have not seen clips or a full episode of this in, like, almost a year, so the format's kind of gone away from my brain. But from what I have remembered, you know, it's children giving answers, or giving clues to answers, and they have to get it right. The contestants do. Something like that. I thought it was a solid show from what I've seen. I wouldn't quite put it at an A, but I'll put it at a B. Alright, Classic Concentration with Alex Trebek. You could say that this was the best version of the whole Concentration series. I mean, you know, they've brought back some of the old formats from it. You know, Alex Trebek, he was just a great host here, so everything about the show's great. Okay, now we do the original Concentration. Now, as you know, they had the NBC run from 58 to 73, and then they had the syndicated run from 73 to 78. So I'm going to include all of those versions within that 20-year period with Concentration. I haven't seen very many episodes of the 50s version, mainly because there really is none. There are a few videos of it online, and I've watched them. And from what I have seen, I can understand why the show lasted as long as it did. It was just so good. Then the 70s version was Jack Nar's. It was an okay show. The bonus game was a little, the 2 in 10 seconds, I think if they had maybe 15 seconds, then I might like it a little more, but it was a pretty good show. Concentration. That whole 20-year period, so we'll put that there. Alright, Debt with Wink Martindale. To me, this is Lifetime's third best game show, which I don't think they've had very many. Supermarket Sweep, Shop Till You Drop. This one, yeah. So, Debt, I like the whole premise of it, to be honest with you, you know. You know, these people are trying to get out of debt, you know. So, I mean, that's what some game shows do, you know. They give you money to, well, I would do is pay off my debt or whatever, because that's what most people do, I feel like, on game shows, is pay off debt. But, so, yeah, this is the perfect game show combination. I wish it would have lasted longer. In fact, it would have lasted longer because it was getting good ratings. But in the men category, though, Lifetime is a women's network, so that concerned Lifetime a little bit. I don't know why. If your show's getting good ratings, then why in the world would you cancel it? Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Deal or No Deal. What's not there to say about this show? You know, it's a fun, intense game show. It gets people's nerves and all twisted up and everything, and, you know, it's just a crazy show. But I love it, so there. Okay, Double Dare. This is the 70s version. So the 70s version, I thought was a pretty decent show. You know, you got the spoilers there and everything. I like the main game format, you know, where the first question's worth $50 if you get it right. And then you can pass it on to your challenger for $50. And if you got it wrong, then you would get 100. And then you could double dare and possibly win 200, or your opponent can win 100. So I kind of like that. And, you know, first to 500 wins. So that's a very interesting format, you know. You know, just be a little different. Alright, now we're doing the Double Dare from the... Well, no, actually, you know what, I'm going to put that in the B. Mainly because it was only canceled after 5 months, or 6 months, or whatever it was. So, yeah. Okay, Double Dare, the Nickelodeon version. Who doesn't love this show? I mean... There's nothing really I gotta say that hasn't already been said about this show. And same here with Family Feud, I mean, yeah. And then Greed. This one is a very underrated show. You know, Chuck Woolery is host. This is a very underrated show, which should have gotten a much more longer run on Fox than it did. I mean, when it first started, it was getting pretty darn good ratings. I mean... I don't know what happened to make it cancel, or how it got canceled. I don't understand why it was canceled, but it was a pretty solid show, and I'd love to see it back on the air sometime if ABC is willing to do that, because, you know, they're reviving all the classic shows, you know, for their summer fun and games. And High Rollers would go into this category, too. Hitman, now, I have never seen that. I have never seen any. I haven't seen that before at all. I've heard of it, and I've read the format online, but I've never seen an episode of it, like, at all. Hollywood Squares, I mean, come on now, people. Hot Potato, now, I have seen a full episode of this, though, but it has been, like, a year or two since I have. I mean, from what I remember, like, you have to guess 5 out of 7 of something, and then if you got it wrong, then you were out, and then you went to the bonus round for $5,000 or whatever. I don't really remember what that was about. But from what I remember of it, it was a decent show. You know, a Bill Cullen hosted show. You already know it was probably going to be a pretty good show. So I'm going to put that in the B category. You know, it was a solid show. And speaking of someone who knows how to host a game show, Bruce Forsyth with Hot Streak. This is his only U.S. game show, to my knowledge. Now, this was a really good show. I mean, it was Battle of the Sexes. You know, it had a good format. You know, try not to repeat any words or whatever. That's pretty good. I like that. But they put it in the worst possible time slot, where it went up against Wheel of Fortune and The Price is Right and got absolutely destroyed. Because of that, I have to put that in the B slot, because of poor scheduling from ABC. Identity. Now, I know a lot of people hate this show, but honestly, it's really not that bad. I mean, you're just guessing people, you know, whether, you know, it's kind of like the I Can See Your Voice from today, you know, where you have to guess whether they have a good voice or a bad voice, or you know, so it's just like that, but, you know, it's with people's jobs, and so I have to put that in. Wait, is this the show that Penn Jillette hosted? I believe it's so. I mean, he wasn't that bad of a host, but he wasn't really that great of a host either, so I have to put that in the B slot. This is going right there. I've never heard of that show before, ever. Jeopardy, I mean, come on, people. Jeopardy's a classic. And then we have Jep, which I believe is the kids' version of the show. I have never seen it before, but I have heard of it, though. And I have read it online. This, not only have I never seen it before, I have also never heard of it before either. Lingo. Now, in my opinion, this is GSN's best game show. Not because it lasted as long as it did, but because, how much they were giving away. Like, in the beginning, I know they were only giving away $5,000 in cash and prizes in that whole, you know, in the first series, and then the jackpot, or what they were giving away, increased every season after that. So, yeah, it's a really good show. I mean, Chuck Woolery does awesome with that, and, you know, Stacy and, oh, geez, what's the lady after her? Shandy Finesse. She was great at they were great at their jobs too. So yeah, man, that period of Game Show Network shows, that to me has been their best original programming shows. You know, from the 2002-03, you know, when Game Show Network was just getting started out, and even Inquisition too. I thought that was a good show too. You know, Friend or Foe, Win Tuition, you know, that was a really great period for Game Show Network game shows. Russian Roulette, too. Let's Make a Deal, I mean, come on now. That one's a classic, okay? Match Game, classic. Merv Griffin's, whoa, here, people. Okay, calm down. Whoops, whoa, here. Holy cow, we still got a lot more to go here. Man, this is going to be like an hour-long video. Okay, Merv Griffin's crosswords. I've never seen a full episode before. So, that automatically is going to go into there. Match Game Hollywood Squares Hour. Now, I don't know why. A lot of people give this show crap, and I don't get it. It's really all it's combining is the match game proportion and the Hollywood Squares, two of America's favorites, into one show. And I don't understand why people hated it so much. I mean, yeah, the Hollywood Squares version of the show is a bit ugh, but I like the $25 per square, but I just don't like, even if your opponent got it wrong, the other person still won. Like that part, that's breaking Hollywood Squares rules right there. That, to me, is going to go into the B category because of that. Other than that, it was a really great show. This one's going automatically there. And Millionaire, that one's a classic. So we're going to put that in the A slot. There we go. Next one, the $1 Million Money Drop. The $1 Million Money Drop was a really good show. I mean, as long as they weren't screwing people out of $800,000, then it was a really great show. I mean, I love this version, or the US version of the show. I love the UK version of the show. In fact, I love that version more than I like this version. And then I've seen an episode of the version in Australia, which is basically the same format as the US version. So yeah, it was a pretty average show, but because they screwed a couple out of $800,000, I have to put that at C. The Monopoly Millionaires Club. I almost said crud. This was a really good show. Billy Gardell was a really great host of this show, but it needed to last longer than it did. I mean, it just should not have. And plus, the 1 hour format, to me, here's why the show did so poorly. It was because they cut it down from 1 hour to 30 minutes. Plus, instead of randomly picking contestants, they were already picked ahead of time. So that's another reason why I feel like the show went down the hole, or went down the toilet. So because of that, I am going to move it to the B category. Other than those flaws, it was a really good show. Then we have the 1990 version of Monopoly. I have seen a full episode of this, though. I thought it was a really solid show. I mean, Mike Riley, he wasn't that great of a host, but yeah. It came right after Super Jeopardy on Saturday nights on ABC, so this should have been a success, but obviously it wasn't, as it was canceled, after just 1 year, but, I thought it was a solid show, but because of Mike Riley hosting, or whatever the guy's host name was, I have to put it at the B slot. The Newlywed Game, what is there not to say about this game? It has to go in the A category. Next is Now You See It. This was a cool game show, I think. There was a whole bunch of words in 4 rows, and there would be words hidden in those, in front of all those random letters. Yeah, so I thought it was a really solid show for CBS. So I'm gonna put that in the B. It was an okay show. But the 70s version only lasted for what, like a year and a half or whatever, and the 89 show only lasted for what? Only a year. Less than a year, pretty much. Alright, so Password Plus. So we're going to put all the passwords into the A slot. Because Password's a classic. R.I.P. Betty White. So yeah, let me find all the other passwords. I don't see any of... Oh, Super Password. Yeah, that's going to go up here too. Okay, next version, Pitfall. I've never seen a full episode of this. Press Your Luck. This one's just a classic, What can I say about the show? The old version was awesome. The Whammy version of it was awesome. The new version of it is awesome. I don't know why, but people don't really like the new version. It's just like the old version, but with the bonus game added on. And you can win $1 million in the bonus game. Like, the bonus game format's good. The main game format never changed. I mean, nothing really changed except for the bonus game, so I don't know why people have such a hard time with it. And Elizabeth Banks is just a great host for the show. Never seen Remote Control before. Russian Roulette, like I said, it was one of those game shows, one of the best game shows Game Show Network has had, you know, especially from that time period. That time period was a really great time period for Game Show Network. In fact, the best in their history, in my opinion. Sale of the Century, I mean, a classic, an instant classic. I mean, this is probably in my top 5 of or my favorites. I mean, Jim Perry, you know, he was just as sharp there as he was in Card Sharks, so yeah. Scrabble, probably the best board game turned into game show format, and it definitely needs to be back on the air. So yeah, we'll put that there. Shop Till You Drop, again, that and Supermarket Sweep back-to-back always made for great television on the Lifetime Network. So yeah, that's gonna go up there. Show Me the Money Now. I have never seen a full episode of this show, but from what I could tell, it seems like a bit of a ripoff of Deal or No Deal, but whatever. Split Second. I love this show. I mean, especially the 80s run with Monty Hall, and then even the 70s version with Tom Kennedy. There have been a couple attempts to bring this back. I mean, we might as well bring it back, huh? I mean, it was a pretty solid show. Alright, Take It All. I've never seen a full episode of this, but I have watched clips of it. And to be honest with you, I know a few people hate it, but come on. Howie Mandel, the great host he is, I mean, it's kind of like friend or foe a little bit, because, you know, you can decide whether you want to keep your prizes or, you know, keep your prizes, you keep your prizes, and then if one person puts take it all and one person says keep mine, then they take it all. And if they take it all, if both teams guess that, or both players say take it all, I believe they get nothing, I think, ooh, excuse me. That was the chili I had a little while ago. So yeah, I think it was a pretty solid show, to be completely honest with you. Tattletales. I mean, this one's a classic, too. I mean, come on. Okay, Temptation. Absolute worst reboot ever. The Big Showdown. This one was a pretty solid show. I mean, I like the format of it, to be completely honest with you. In fact, one of the best game shows ABC has ever done. I mean, that's period. The Chair, absolute one of the worst of all time. The Challengers, now I have never seen a full episode of this before, but it seems like it's a really good show. Chamber gets an automatic F. The Magnificent Marble Machine. Now, this one, I don't know, because this one, I know a lot of people that don't really like this show because of the big pinball machine, because there's no strategy for that. But for the time period, a pinball machine, like, that was pretty popular, I would assume. So, yeah. So, I'm going to put that on C. It was an okay show. Tic-Tac-Toe, instant classic. And then The Joker's Wild, again, instant classic. Price is Right. I mean, come on now, people. Trivia Trap. Now, Trivia Trap's an interesting one. Now, see, the only thing that killed this one, too, was because they put it up against The Price is Right. So, but other than that, it was a pretty solid show. But because they had to pair it up with The Price is Right, I have to put that at the B slot. Trivial Pursuit, I've never seen... No, I've never seen a full episode. And Trump Card, I don't think I've ever seen before, but I've heard of it. 21. Now, this was the main reason of all the game show scandals. This and the $64,000 question were the biggest scandals of the whole 50s thing. I mean, the format was great for that version. And then in the 2000 version of it, I thought it was a great format too. You know, I've seen episodes of the 2000 version. It seems like it was a pretty good show, at least in my opinion. I think it is, but because of all the game show scandals, I have to put that at D. I'd have to give it a D. Weakest Link, Instant Classic. I mean, Ann Robinson, she's the GOAT. Now she's hosting Countdown in the UK. Whammy Wheel 2000. I have seen a full episode of this, and it's quite different from the real show, mainly because, you know, it's not, you know, it's not like the original version, but, you know, but it's kids, so, I mean, yeah, so I'm going to put that at the B. Winning Lines. Now, this Winning Lines, if they wouldn't have aired it on Saturday nights, then this probably would have been a popular show. I mean, it was a popular show in the UK for 6-7 years. It was part of the National Lottery. And I think this is a pretty good show. I mean, Dick Clark, you know, this was his final show hosting, I believe. And I thought he did a pretty decent job, especially, you know, for his age and reading all the questions off and the Wonder Wall, how fast he did that. I mean, A. Alright, Winning Streak. Some say that this wasn't a good show, and mainly because of the, you know, it says, oh, you could double your money at any time, and you could win over $100,000. I mean, I know the $100,000 is almost impossible to win, but, you know, I thought it was a pretty decent show, and I really liked the theme for it. So I'm going to put that on a B, a solid B. Then Wipeout, you know, because, you know, in that late 80s, early 90s time period, you know, television was changing and game shows were getting canceled. If you weren't Wheel of Fortune, Price is Right, Family Feud, or Jeopardy. But Wipeout was a pretty solid show in syndication. Now, this one would have lasted if television stations, local television stations, wouldn't have placed it in midnight time slots or early morning time slots. So, because of that, I have to put that at B. Wheel of Fortune, classic. Your Number's Up. I don't think I've ever seen this one before, but I've heard of it. Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Classic. Blackout. This was an okay format. Then Brain Surge. Oh, I remember Brain Surge. This one was a fun one, I thought. So I'm going to put that on the A one here. Then Beat the Clock. Love this show. That could probably work today. I'm not going to lie. Beat the Clock probably would. Family Challenge. I've never seen a full episode of before. Friend or Foe. A+, people. Funhouse, I've never seen a full episode of this. Gambit. Now, Gambit had a couple formats over the years, but I thought it was a pretty good show. The Hollywood Showdown. I've never seen a full episode of this show. The Moment of Truth. Now, I know a lot of people hated it. I hated it mainly because it pretty much destroyed marriages and relationships and families and all that. See, I really don't like those game shows, but I thought the format of it, you know, the pyramid format was pretty cool, to be honest. But, you know, because of those reasons, I have to put that at the D slot. But I thought it was a good show. Supermarket Sweep, Instant Classic. That's the Question. Never seen a full episode of it. Think Fast, never seen before. To Tell the Truth, Instant Classic. Win, Lose, or Draw. That was a pretty solid show. I mean, Vicki Lawrence and Bert Convy were great at hosting that show. America Says, I'd say it's an A game show. Candy Crush, never seen a full episode of it, and I'm kind of glad I haven't either. Cram. Now, the Cram is an interesting one, how you have to stay up 24 hours for it. I mean, that's a pretty creative game show premise, you know. Divided. Now, this one was one where things could get argumentative, and it did a lot of the times. But that's kind of how I like, but I kind of like those types of shows, so I'm going to put that all the way up. Oh, but you know who hosted it, though? Mike Richards. No, okay, nope. I have to put that at F. No, D. I mean, he was a good host, but what has come after it, with the whole Jeopardy thing, no, I don't like it. Never seen a full episode of this, The Legends of the Hidden Temple. I don't think I've seen a full episode of this, but I think I have seen it. And then Great Gateway Gems I've never seen before. So yeah, that's my game show tier making. More of these to come here in 2022. Man, this is almost 40 more, or a little over 41 minutes long. Man, I did not expect it to be this long, but it was. But anyway, thank you so much for sticking around. Hopefully I didn't bore you out at all. So this is my official rankings if you want to go to Tiemaker.com. I'm going to save this. Download it. No, I don't really. Well, no. I need to log into that. So I think I might create an account so that, you can see it. Just go to Tiemaker.com and then search Game Show Tiemaker. Yeah. So I will see you all next time. Bye.